Well, that'll stream through. It's supposed to stream through my audio. Here's the thing. Restream's been fucking me the last few days. I don't know if it's going to work. So there's a chance it doesn't. So I'll start off the stream just from the beginning for people who are coming in late, and then also people who are going to be watching this later. Definitely go to the YouTube video stream or any of the video streams. Guaranteed will have audio. The Twitter Spaces is like a 75% chance. I don't know what's going on with that. Either way, we're going to start right now. I'm going to hit the Instagram live.
Yeah, I think I hear myself. Yeah, I do. So that's sick.
Yeah, you may need. Okay, cool. All right, you good over there? Do you need to move your phone? You said.
No, we're good. We're good.
Cool. All right, guys, let's get going. Welcome to the Joyage Kingdom, guys. I'm Cade, your guide. I'll be replacing the little voice inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first, thank you for listening and viewing on whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, smash the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel. Join the kingdom. If you're on Twitter, hit that retweet button. If you're anywhere else, again, hit that follow button. We got a great episode today. We got Joshua Jake, one of the best content creators that I know. Some people just get the game, and Josh 100% gets the fucking game. He covers literally everything trending, everything viral in nature, talks about the state of the world, Web3, finance, conspiracies, everything you want in a TikToker. He's literally got it. We'll pull up his page in a second. Definitely highly encourage you to check him out. Renowned trader as well, and future husband of the year, bro. Congratulations on the engagement. I'm really happy for you, and welcome.
Thanks, man. That's probably the one I'm most excited for. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's been a long time. It's interesting not seeing you with your taco glasses, but you know, it's always a good time. It's always there they are. That's how you know who Kate is on TikTok. Always popping up. But dude, happy to be here. Thanks for having me today, and I'm excited to see where we go.
Yeah, bro, I'm pumped. I'm super pumped to talk to you. We've talked to the other two guys actually that's a good place to start. The Crypto Night Pod. I was actually gonna pull up here on Twitter. I think it was a second ago. So you have, just for people who don't know, you cover pretty much all of content in general, bro. You hit the content industry as a whole, you hit the finance industry as a whole, viral nature, conspiracies. But as far as crypto related stuff, you and Lucas are out here running Crypto Night, which I would love to know from your own words, like what this is, what you guys are trying to do here, what's like the overall mission, and what you're trying to do, especially when the bull market comes back, dude.
Yeah, so great question. Crypto Night was started back in 2021. I had started my TikTok, was starting to get some engagement on there. I think I hit about 60,000 followers back in June of 2021. Not even, I think I was at like 50K. And Bitcoin Miami invited me out to come to the conference and do some media and production behind the scenes. And at the time, it was me, Lucas, and a few others in something we called the Crypto Avengers, and we would host Twitter Space. This was like Mac Lorden, Mac and Cheesy, and a few other people. And so we were doing content. And when I went out to Bitcoin Miami, I just sat down with him, and we realized we wanted to do a marketing company. I come from kind of esports and doing drone footage, and so I knew that world pretty well. I understood how agencies were working. And I wanted to create a media entertainment center that is very similar to Barstool Sports, where we'd have a podcast, ultimately bring up other creators, do mentorships, and just start building creators that are in the Web3 industry. Because the one thing the Web3 industry kind of lacked was that mentorship and guidance. As I came into the space, a lot of the influencers I looked up to that I thought were like, that's how you make it. You made it if you're connecting with these people. Sadly, behind the scenes, I just realized it wasn't as pretty as everybody made it out to be. And so I wanted a more realistic, true kind of company that is down to help Web3 creators build and connect them to the right networks. So Crypto Night is now a podcast. We do a lot of different things, from not only just marketing, but to advising, consulting, spokespersonship. So we'll do keynote speaking at a lot of events. We've done probably 12. I can't even count anymore, but we sponsor events like NFTLA, and we do keynote panels where we just get up there, teach people how to build an audience, build a brand, and more importantly, do that. There's a lot more in crypto than just trading, and we're here to build. So,
dude, 1,000,000%. Do you think the businessification of y'all doing that together as Crypto Night, do you think that helps you get gigs and things like that? Is that something you recommend to people to like kind of make a thing like that? So you guys are like, we are Crypto Night, we can do this like in a business setting or a business sense?
Depends on what you're focusing on. Yeah. So for us, it's like, okay, we're building a multi-million-dollar media company in the Web3 industry. And sorry, I got a double echo. Let me fix this actually really quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Don't need to hear.
Also, are you able to slightly move your camera to center your face in like the widescreen version?
Let me go. It probably can do this. Hold up.
You're good. Oh, he's a king. He's a master.
Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
cool. I took my audio out. Yeah, guys, we're my other camera's not connecting, so we had to go with the Logitech. So you're not seeing the normal camera angle. But
RIP.
yeah, so it really just depends on the type of business you want to do. There's content creators that can just pursue content only. I've always just had the passion of I want to build not only a company but a brand that isn't just about creating TikTok. I don't want to just be a TikToker. So
Right.
I actually advise and consult with a lot of different companies. And now doing this for the last couple of years now, we've been able to speak at panels, and that aspect of the industry, in my opinion, is a lot larger because there's a lot of positions out there that you don't need to be a content creator for. A lot of people think when you come into Web3, you either got to be a day trader or you got to produce cringy ass TikToks and sorry for the language, but and dance around and generate hype. But you don't need to be a developer or anybody crazy. There's CMO positions, there's business opportunities, there's consulting, there's advising, there's literally just basic HR work. So if there's anything anybody does, you can come into this industry and probably find a position. And so I really like building teams and helping them come to market and not really kind of get stuck in their heads about, hey, we need to buy the best influencers in the space, because the best influencers in the space, like the reality is their conversions are really not there. They're like kind of like NASCARs at this point. So they've been, they've promoted so many times. These companies will come in with a massive budget and they'll waste all their money because they think they have to go approach influencers in that way. And so that's kind of the area that I'm now attacking more. And so is Blockchain Boy.
Yeah. What kind of content do you enjoy making? Is your favorite kind the Kryptonite Pod? Because like low key, bro, I'd be seeing y'all on that set, and I'm like, bro, I know they love the shit out of that studio, bro. Like I know y'all love that stuff. That's got to be your favorite content.
So my favorite, I love doing that with him. We love the podcast, and I think that's gonna absolutely kill it in the bull run.
Oh yeah,
because it's really hard to. We launched the week of FTX crashing, so not kind of the best time to launch a Web3 podcast. And then it's been just a downhill spiral since then. But I absolutely love be able to just get up there and spitball about crypto and just give our thoughts. My favorite content though is probably going to be it's probably going to be diving into things like BlackRock and just kind of helping people understand and realize that there's a lot more to the crypto industry than meets the eye. So not necessarily putting the tinfoil hats on, but I love to do good research and put together like actual data and statistics on why a company might be manipulating a marketplace. And so I like being able to find that. And I got some really cool stuff that's probably going to be coming up soon. But I like being able to, expose that truth. I really like finding the truth. That's my favorite type of content.
Bro, and it's a good kind of content to do well. Patrick, who I hope he joins the Kryptonite team or podcast at some point too, because he definitely understands content to a level that other most people don't as well. And he's definitely a beast, up and coming. He's already honestly not even up and coming. He destroyed it on TikTok. He had a few of those viral videos finally. But I was gonna say that conspiratorial type of content where you're like, you open up the video and you open up TikTok, guys. Just imagine this. This is a daily occurrence for me. I'm doing nothing. I'm chilling. I'm not thinking about not anything really. And I open my TikTok and it's boom. BlackRock lied to you. Boom. Green screen. Boom. Like it's the best shit. I was gonna say though, dude, you drop a little bit of alpha on the content, on viral content specifically, because I've made content for 10 years and I made content full time for 2 years, and viral content just doesn't work for me or something. I don't know if it's a limiting belief. I have literally had like 3 videos ever get over the 400K mark.
Yeah, so there's honestly just a recipe to it, and there's a few different ways you can approach it. One is going to be, I've now mentored quite a few companies. Patrick himself, I've gotten him his first million viewed videos and really worth it. And he's great. He's absolutely great.
Super highly of you and Lucas, by the way. Super highly.
Super dope guy. Couldn't be more proud. We had an actual goal of him hitting 10K in 60 days, and he hit about 50,000. So like and now he kind of understands.
Yeah.
And so there's 2 ways you look at this. One is it's not going to be your content. It's not you as an individual that can't produce those views. It's the audience. And so what I mean by that is when you create a video, you have to be able to humiliate yourself and just look in the mirror and be like, is this a video that I would watch all the way through? And is this something I'm going to leave a like and a comment on? If it's not, and you're like, this is just kind of mid quality, this is being copied and pasted a million different times, you got to just kind of go down to the strategy board. So there's a few different rules you can kind of live by. One is going to be the rule of three. The rule of three is going to be, if you ever were a kid and your parents told you when you dropped a piece of chicken on the floor or food on the floor, and they're like, oh, 5-second rule. And it's okay. There's no germs on it, which is completely wrong. The same goes with content. So except it's 3 seconds. So, every 3 seconds in that video, if you're not saying something that's intense and like you're, like talking about a subject that's blowing up, like the Titanic, you want every 3 seconds something to be happening in here. You got to treat your audience, and this isn't a bash on the TikTok audience of people in general. I blame this on social media, but the world has the attention span of a squirrel now. This is why TikTok does not convert to YouTube. This is why Twitter does not, convert to YouTube. Right. People won't even click on a link and leave that page. So in your video, automatically you want to be engaged every 3 seconds. So that's whether it's switching a new camera angle or adding a new banner. A super simplistic way is adding pop-up captions, right? Number 2 is going to be something that I think everybody looks over, and nobody knows this statistic, but this is a real statistic, is going to be 80% of your viewers are watching with the sound off. They're at work, they're in bed, they're nurses, whatever it is, and they're watching silently or on like 1% volume. So either you got to be insanely loud, which that's really not, again, if it's completely loud, that's going to happen. So you need captions. I
literally did not know that at all. Like that is crazy, but that's actually true. Like I do kind of do that sometimes. I'll just scroll and I'm not really paying attention. Damn, I'm kind of just depending on whatever's on the screen to do the job. Whoa, dude. Okay, that's
right.
Some serious game right there.
3 seconds, no sound. Those are the videos that go viral. That's why Khabib, or not Khabib, Khaby Lame. I forgot how to pronounce his name. Or Khaby Lame. I'm breaking names right now. He's the guy that just does the, the like, what's wrong with you? I don't know if you've ever seen those videos. He's got like 50, 60 million followers. He doesn't speak.
Oh, yeah. I do know him. I do know him.
Yeah, he doesn't speak, and he just points at like, what did you do wrong? And that's because every single language can register what that means. Yeah. Everybody watching with sound off or sound off can still laugh, and that's a true master of content production.
Yo, okay, damn. Do you have I have a solid follow-up question, actually. I thought I was just going to be sitting there flabbergasted because I just didn't think about it like that. I guess there's a fucking reason that you've got so many followers and you got the game. Like you really do. Like there are some people who understand short form content, specifically short form content also. And so I'm definitely here to learn. Do you have any people that you look up to as a content creator as well that you take some tips from? Are there certain people who drop content creation specific tips that you watch out for, or do you kind of just learn these things as you go?
Let me give you a name.
Because there's only one person that comes to my mind. He's some guy who wears a hat. I think his name is Steven or something. And he just sits there like really boring styles of content, but he drops actual game. I can't remember the life.
I'm forgetting the guy that I watch. I used to watch so much of. Do you know the Rare Books guy?
Yes, I do know him.
Do you know the video producer for him? He also has a channel.
Oh, did not.
So he's got really long hair, really high quality. I'm spacing on his
name. I do know
right
him. I know who you're talking about, actually. I do know who you're talking about, and I see him all the time, but I don't know his name.
I have to find it, but it might take me. I don't want to spend 5 minutes scrolling through my followers.
Yeah, you're right. We'll come back to it. If we find it, we'll fucking post it somewhere.
Drops the most based information out of anybody I've watched on the platform on how to go viral. The reason is because he not only built someone that now has a multi-million-dollar industry, he got to live through the experience of storytelling. So the Rare Books gentleman, his storytelling, which kind of goes with the industry, is like super tense. It's in depth. It's something new every single time you're watching. And so that storytelling aspect is going to be that third part of that rule. So captions, 3 seconds, and then, storytelling. You need to be able to kind of drive that viewer engagement, and whatever you're talking about needs a good story. If it doesn't have a good story, you're going to get dwarfed by the content about the Titanic submersive. Yeah. You're going to get dwarfed by the content of, some Russia, Ukraine, Wagner Group stuff, right? You're going to get dwarfed by that through the media channels. So if you're not, generating a good story that's not quick, that's not captivating with captions, you're not necessarily, it's not that you can't go viral. There's a million ways you can go viral. But that is kind of the strongest point that you need to focus on. And that's something that Mr. Beast talks about in the Lex Friedman podcast. I don't know if you watch that. That is probably the best hour-long of just gold nuggets for information and content.
Dude, hell yeah. Yo, so not switching gears entirely, but slightly, because we're gonna get into some topics that, dude, I don't know who, like, where people are. Do you see this on the side, or is this just me?
What?
The people that the accounts that pop up on the side here under you, we've had 2 people like with random names, like right now. You see it?
No, I don't.
Bro, why? Oh, I guess I'm the host. That's why I see it. 2 random accounts keep joining, and then I keep deleting them, and no one has that link except for you. So unless it's like your assistant being like, "Yo, I need Josh's fucking like attention right now." Like,
I did not share it. I did not share it.
bro,
I promise.
who is Mike? Okay. Anyways, it's fine. I mean, they're not gonna join. I have to let them in to join. It's just so weird that they have that link. Okay, well, I guess the government is listening, so it's probably Mark Zuckerberg. All right. So, anyways, like there are some topics that are gonna be like in that realm, conspiratorial, world state of the world type things. So before I ask that question, this is a question I stole from Diary of a CEO from Steven Bartrett, I think his last name is.
Okay.
I was able to meet at VCon. But
wow,
what would people need to know? What would I need to know to have like proper context on you as a person, so that we can talk about all the things and people don't get like the wrong idea about. So like, what is something important about you, like a story about you, something that drives you, something about you that's important that we should know? Do you think?
That's a good question. That's that's not asked too much, but I love it. I love it. For me, it's going to be, I really like just who as I am as a person, right? You want to kind of know a little bit about my background, why I am the way I am.
Yeah, and plus you got you have an Invisible Friend hoodie, so like I'm already down with it, like Invisible Friends
go. Let's go. Yeah, I mean NFTs was huge, but kind of all my values and everything I focus on is just fair value. I'm a very, I'd say, when I put things in perspective, I want people to be honest and true with themselves, no matter what the industry is or what the outcome is. And I think this kind of derives from, growing up from 2008, like my parents kind of lost everything. I ended up moving from Chicago to the middle of the mountains and starting a homestead, raising sheep, kind of a completely flip of 180. My school and everybody I grew up with was a graduate class of 70 people. And so I come from a really small town where, every single winter we'd go to the avocado hills and go get wood for our wood burning stove to heat the trailer. And so very early on, I understood, what money meant. And when people were like, oh, $100,000 isn't a lot of capital. I'm like, okay, you haven't really lived, like you've been poor before. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Because I grew up living on nothing, right?
Yeah.
You were raising food outside. We're cutting and slaughtering sheep, pigs, the whole 9 yards, chickens, go out every morning, pick up the eggs. And so when I came into, once I turned 18, I was like, I need to get out of the farmland. I need to get out of the mountains. I was like, I'm going to go to college. I want to go meet the world. I want to go see the world. I want to go travel. And I was very extroverted. So I was like, all right, I just packed my bags. Parents, shout out to them. They paid for me to go to the dorms, which I absolutely flunked out of school because I learned what friends were. And I was just like, oh my God, ladies, like friends, like let's go party. And I got to experience that. But so, I never was a good scholar. And so I was always doing something on the side, whether it was flipping couches or trying to start a car detailing company, which actually was doing pretty well. I ended up picking up drone footage back in 2020, and I would go stand on the coast of California and just hand out my business card and let some old geezer that was just awesome, a really nice person. That's back in 2016, looking at a drone flying, like it was like an alien spaceship to a lot of these people. So I'd go to like the nicest neighborhoods and just fly these drones, and I would let them fly my drone because my sister was working at Best Buy and they could crash as many times as one. I had free insurance. And so, I started picking up a lot of business that way. And that's what kind of drove me into video production. And so, at that time I was also doing esports. I joined like a semi-pro Fortnite team, went to Las Vegas, competed, did all that stuff. And so I just kind of jumped, from going to the mountains. It just came out and I just jumped into it. And I was just starting a bunch of side businesses. And so, over time I was like, what's going to hit? I was doing that for like a year. Nothing would go viral. I was in the same boat of being like, okay, is it me? Am I the content? Or is this just a luck of the dime? Like you have to be a chosen one from the TikTok algorithm to go viral. Right. And so, after a year of spending through that, I was like, I'm going to give up on the content production. And I went through the video production. I went back to school. It was in a Nike program. I wanted to do commercials for them and do like, get into that industry.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was doing, handing out my business cards, doing car commercials, golf courses, detailer companies, and just doing their drone footage, drone shots for construction sites and everything. Started getting really good at it. And so one day I was started investing into crypto, and Dogecoin was at like 0.0000 something odd cents. And I had a bag. I used my stimulus check from the government, put that a little bit into it. I just started making thousands of dollars. Like, it was just printing. So I decided to go live. And that was the first time ever that I had, 500 viewers. It went from 5 viewers on Twitch trying to play Fortnite to 500 viewers, dude. I was like, what is happening? People are like, because we're watching it live. This was like right in the bull market.
Yeah.
And so that kind of flipped the switch on me. So from that point, like, I started getting into the industry, and I had known how esports is. Esports is very corrupted. These organizations don't care about their influencers. It's very contract based, where you're almost a slave to the algorithm for them. And if you don't produce a set amount of content, you're cut. And at the same time, they're taking 70 to 80% of your revenue. Damn. So I was just like, I hated that. I was like, this is not fair. Mm-hmm. And, I had that concept of money behind me. Like, they're working for this. They deserve this dime. So long story short, we already talked about kryptonite and everything, but that's what kind of drove me to create a media company where now I'm working with businesses and companies to make sure when they go to market, they're getting a fair value from these influencers, but the influencers themselves or these educators are getting the fair value on their end. And so in these calls with these influencers and educators, I'm like, hey, this is what your fair price is. This is your conversions. Let's make this space real again. I want our audience not to watch a video and be like, is this a sponsored ad? I want you to be able to claim it is and feel good about it. I want you to work with companies that have real values, that have fair values, that have, ethics and morals, that aren't, just here for a quick pump and dump.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's a little background. Sorry, it was a little bit in depth, but
that's exactly what I was hoping for. Perfect. And I can't believe you lived 75 different lives before you even proposed, bro.
Yeah, and now I'm getting married, and that's a whole nother journey I'm ready for, bro. I'm ready. I've been with her for 5 years now, so.
Oh my God. Well, I definitely was it scary? Like getting on a knee? Was that scary?
Oh, bro, everything goes wrong. I took her down to Fort Lauderdale. I have like the photographer. I have like the champagne that's supposed to be on the beach and do this like beautiful, beautiful thing. Of course, it's Florida, and the 20% chance of rain turned into hurricane type weather. And so that all got canceled. And so the whole next day, I'm like, how am I going to do this? My plans are all gone. Your heart's pounding through your chest. You're like, I've been with this, this girl for 5 years. I know she loves me. She's going to say yes. But you're like, you get to yourself. You're like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But ultimately I ended up asking her on the beach after dinner. And it was, it was good. It was a good moment.
Dude, congratulations on that. Huge fucking milestone. I'm sure all the single boys and me are all clapping for you. And I'm excited for it. I'm cheering from the sidelines. Dude, so you did live like literally 37 lives before you got married. I would say that's important for me to sit on for a second, just because we're both still young. And I feel like one of the main things that people who are young think is like, when am I going to make it? Why not yet? Like, I already did this for 2 years. Why hasn't it worked yet? I remember I for sure think that all the time, like on a daily basis. I'm like, man, like that, I've been doing this for a little bit. Like, this should be taken off, like this, that, and the other. And then people also, the idea of people stressing, being 22 and stressing about, working on this, but then also wanting to travel, but then also wanting to make money. Like, do you have any words that might help those kind of people? Because that is also me on some days.
Yeah. Breathe, first and foremost, enjoy the 20s. I'm about to turn 26. And so, it's same mindset. And honestly, the kids that are thinking about that are, if you're 22, you said?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. So you're even, you're closer to me. Like, props to you. Like, we're the one, like, that is I would say the people that have that mentality are the ones that are going to make it, because you're never going to be comfortable sitting, at a 9 to 5 with a set limit on how much you can make and how much you can perform, and then go home and just, get on Netflix and do nothing. There's nothing wrong against that. The 9 to 5s, there's a lot of great industries and company, if that's your passion, if you want to go work and get into whatever that is, that's up to you. But for us, it's like, you're always trying, you need to do something, right? You have this urge of like, I need to make it now. I need to make it big. I don't want to do compound interest and retire when I'm 65. That sounds like death to me. You know, so you're going to try new things. And so what I have to say to that is ultimately, one is get comfortable taking risks. You have to take risks if you are going to pursue this avenue, because there's going to be millions. It doesn't stop ending. There's going to be millions of moments where you're like, man, did I mess up? Was this the right move? Should I have gone to college? Should I have backed down? And you have to realize everything you do, as long as you're every single day doing the max amount of work as you possibly can, trying your hardest, that all ends up being an experience. And from 20 to 24, you know, I had done so many different things. I mean, we barely touched on it. I did door-to-door sales. I did timeshares for resorts. I went to construction back when I was like 19 doing insulation. And so, you know, after all of that, by the time you're 24, 25, if you're young, the knowledge you're going to have and experience you're going to have is going to allow you to really pursue whatever you want to dream for. And so Gary Vee says it all the time. You know, he's like, you take the risks, right? When you're young, you have the time, whether that means move back in with your parents. I know a lot of us don't want to do that. I did that back in COVID.
I did that too.
Yeah. You know, it's part of life, but you can save so much money and just start investing in yourself.
Yeah.
And so take the risks. And I would say the second thing is, if you're in your young 20s, just as soon as you're like, you know, 18 and you're just young, go travel, go see another culture. You need to go somewhere that you don't understand the language and you're just in a different world. And that really, I think going to, you know, even just Mexico for my first time, like just opened up a whole new world of perspective where it makes you realize, you know, after moving around my whole life, there's way more out to the world than what meets the eye. And that was kind of that pivoting moment for me.
Bro, that's super fucking good, because I didn't even think about it, but when I was I would have been 20, maybe 20 or 21. No, I was 20. And I went to my friend. I'd never really traveled too much. I've been in Japan, but I'm half Japanese, so it's not like I'm in a brand new world. Like my mom like grew up with speaking it, so like there wasn't that much to learn. And then growing up in as a child, going like every single year. But when I was 19 or 20, I went to Hawaii. Just on a whim. Like my friend was like, yo, he was a videographer. He's like, bro, my model fell through. I know you're not a fucking model, but like, do you want to come and you can just be the model anyway? And I was like, yeah, bro. So we went to Hawaii, and I literally in 2 weeks, my entire frame of what I thought about the world kind of collapsed on itself. Cause I was like, oh, there are people here who don't live at all like the people that I'm used to. And they don't look at the world. They look at the world totally differently, different style of life, different things they worry about. And I was like, oh my, and I can't explain what it did. It just did. It just did the thing. And it did exactly what people say with traveling. So I think that's super fucking on point. And so you've gotten a lot of that experience. I would say myself as well. I took a bunch of risks early on. And I think that's exactly the reason why we're sitting here right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't like feel good, which is the other thing I was going to add. The only thing I was going to add there was like, there was a lot of points during that time when, still right now, where a lot of it's just not that fun. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs think it'll be more fun, and I think it'll be a little bit, I don't know what the word is, just like nicer, but I think it's like, until you cross that line of like, I don't know if it's a bag,
Freedom.
like I think you're a bit further ahead than me, but like, I'm pretty sure that like, pretty much all the way up until it doesn't, it is just ass, bro. It is just total eating shit the entire time. But that's the game, and that's why it's so fucking hard. It's why only 1% make it out, you know?
Yeah. You know, I wish I could say it gets easier. But with, you know, yeah. And I mean, it definitely does. It definitely does. And the word I think that I would use is freedom, right? You know, you don't want to go work for somebody else. And that's like why you're being an entrepreneur, and you want to be your own boss, and you want to have, you know, control and own your own time. But then you realize as an entrepreneur, you still got to make money. You still got to eat. So, you know, instead of working 9 to 5, you don't have a guaranteed hourly salary. So, you know, you could be working 12, 14 hours a day, trying to get out a new product, trying to get out a new vision, trying to get out new content. You know, and so there's a different level of stress, I would say, that comes with this space. You know, I've had my fair share of panic attacks. Don't get me wrong. You know, the reality is like there'll be a moment as an entrepreneur, you're doing 7 different things. You know, you're starting in 2 different companies, you're advising on 2 others, you're doing your own personal brand, getting your own content out. You need to post on 8 different platforms. You're getting hate because people just don't agree, and that's how the you know, the world works. And you have all this like noise that's just coming at you. And I would say, my advice here is, if you don't do this, I recommend everybody does this. And I need to get back in the gym and do this more, because I've been traveling so much. Ice baths in the steam room. for whatever reason, like you need to find what just brings you clarity. And when I'm in those rooms meditating and just focusing on breathing and just letting my body just rest, that is that moment of like all that noise just becomes calm, and you can just really pinpoint what needs to be done. What do I need to focus on? What's good? What do I need to value first? And you start, all this noise becomes kind of a system, almost like a blockchain. And you just start, knocking out one by one. And you understand if something doesn't work, that's fine. There's a million moving parts to this vehicle, and it's going to continue to push forward. So you can't stress about the unnecessary stresses. And I think really, those ice baths and those steam rooms and be able to be somewhere this is a form of meditation, in my opinion. That meditation is needed to, alleviate that stress.
Yeah, I think it clears your plate a little bit, and it leaves a little bit of room for the next thing that's going to be stressful, no matter what. And honestly, you threw in blockchain there for a second too, which that was perfect. But I was going to say, we've got some crazy shit's been happening recently. Like one, I just saw Alibaba partnered up with Near Protocol, and they just added a whole blockchain element to their entire ecosystem, which is insane because Alibaba is huge. My question is not so much on that. I guess it's like the levels of that. We get to a place where the level of tech immersion is so prevalent, like everyone has it. We're at a point where a few products have been rolled out. The products have had successes. The products have had derivatives on the Wish app and Amazon from third parties. Now everyone can get one for $29.99 or $59.99 or something like that. Do you think there's any likelihood of a Ready Player One type of situation or a Wall-E type of situation, or do you think that's fiction? I just want to know your opinion on this. Because this is basically, this is like crazy stuff that people, in the real world, they think this is actually crazy to talk about this.
Just crypto in general, right?
Crypto in general, but specifically a metaverse type of situation where our avatars matter a little bit and our assets actually matter in the real world, day to day, moment to moment kind of thing.
Yeah. So in all reality, I believe we're still a decade out. Now, I think there is going to be a Wall-E moment. But I still think we're in the bare bones of sticks and bricks of building that concept. To me, once that metaverse is actually here, this is something that I've talked about a lot actually, is a metaverse to me isn't a blockchain video game in a virtual reality, right? Which is a lot of what these are. They're no different than Call of Duty, just it's on blockchain. So they say it's a metaverse, right? That's really, maybe they add some VR concept to it. A metaverse to me is going to be the moment where everything in the world connects. It's where if I want to launch an e-commerce store, I can have both a physical and a digital storefront, as well as, after that, I can go surfing on the coast of, California after I get done in that virtual reality. And from there, I can go to a virtual restaurant, or I can go to a virtual, I can go directly into Call of Duty. And if I'm done playing Call of Duty, I can go play, I walk over in my VR into GTA 5. And so the metaverse concept, I think, is very, very, very early. And I think it's going to be explosive. But I think that moment it is when technology can fit it into your glasses. When it's something so basic, it's not this giant headset. I don't see a world where, maybe it is a Wall-E moment, but I don't think, like the new Apple VR headset, I'm going to buy one.
Yeah.
Am I going to use it all the time? Probably not. I'll definitely have fun with it, but just like the Oculus, I was doing a lot of, virtual. I have 2 Oculuses and I play them all the time. I haven't played them in a while, but that concept I think is just, it's not strong enough to be that Wall-E moment yet, but I do believe it will be here, especially with quantum and AI. I think tech in 5 years is going to dwarf tech from today.
Yeah. That was that was the main like precipice of that question, was like when AI starts to combine with these things. Once we get a product rolled out, in my head, like my go-to is the contact lenses, bro. I'm like, once contact lenses are introduced, it's literally over. Like at that point, we completely live in a metaverse, in a augmented reality type of verse where like I get excited about that. I've seen all the Black Mirror episodes. I've seen why people are scared and nervous about these things. I've seen all the stories about it, but I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm delusionally optimistic, but I think that's kind of cool. Like I know that there are positives, as if there's negatives, there's always positives. So I'm aware that there's both. Do you think that there's more negatives or there's more positives to being even more connected than we are today? Which I don't even know if we are more connected than we were 20 years ago, or if we're less connected. It's hard to know what connection really even means.
Yeah. So every great empire falls, right? The Roman Empire, Genghis Khan, if you go through the industrialization, all the revolutions that we've had, all the way through World War II to where we're at today, change is scary, and it's going to come whether you like it or not. So the one thing I think everybody can agree on is we want human civilization to advance. We want, maybe not everybody wants this, but we need multiple planetorial explore. We need to be able to go explore different worlds. The reality of this is because there's so many unanswered questions. Now, if you're religious, maybe you're not following that so much. Maybe you're good by the faith, and one world, Earth's only where we're at. But there's a lot of unknown questions out there that people want answered. And so for human civilization to advance, AI needs to come. Is there going to be negatives to that? Well, just like there was negatives to the Industrial Revolution and the Middle Ages, and as when sliced bread came out and everybody freaked out about this new invention, things are going to change, and it's going to create negatives. We don't know what those are, but to be scared of those and not tackle those as they come, and instead suppress human civilization, I think is doing more of a injustice than advancing it. And the other thing is, that is maybe me just being personal values. If we don't do it, China's going to do it anyways. So you really don't got an option.
That is the big argument. Is it's happened no matter what. So like, what's the play? Because in my head, like I've heard the argument of like, every generation has their thing. Every generation thinks they're this, they're that, whatever. But like, bro, artificial intelligence is in my head, it's so beyond different than anything ever that I'm like, we cannot, like, it's so hard for me to be like, yeah, we can totally look at something in the past and like even kind of pretend that we can take anything. I'm like, AI is separate from us. Like AI is already learning from itself. So like, we're already out of the game in some ways. So I'm like, AI is the one thing where I'm like, I think that's the one part of that equation that I'm delusionally optimistic on. I just don't see why they would kill all of us in a demented way that we kind of fantasize it to be in all these shows and stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, like I'm not a computer scientist. I speak to a lot of data scientists and engineers that build these things, that build data sets that are way more in depth than, general purpose models like ChatGPT. So, from those spaces and kind of understanding where their thoughts are at is, one, the AI we have today now with these parameters, it can't do that yet. The question will be, okay, in 5 years or 3 years with quantum and this advancement, especially as quantum becomes commercialized, because what will happen is quantum will hit, 4 large companies. They'll take advantage of that, which is where we're at today. They're going to profit off that. There'll be a moment though where, the commercialization of quantum, everybody has a quantum computer in their household. And so, just thinking about those things leaves a lot of open cans. But yeah, I don't know, man. I would say I'm dangerously optimistic with you as well. I think there's so many issues in the world, whether you're looking at the World Economic Forum or, Beyond Meat or, BlackRock or all this, whatever that noise is, right? Whatever that annoying noise is with the wars that are going on, AI solves a lot of these things. It might escalate a lot of these things. But the one thing let me ask you this, are you comfortable with the world, and where it's at in 2023? Or would you rather go back to, this is the question I usually get, is like, are you comfortable with where the world is today? If nothing were to change, nothing were to advance today, are you okay with that?
Yeah, that's a good question to ask them. Wow.
And they always go, well, 2016, before Trump, whatever,
oh my God,
every time, whatever it is, man. And I'm just like, the world was never in a good place. And with social media and with the advancement of AI, we're all going to be able to see that on a much larger scale. Freedom of speech is going to be a lot less suppressed. You're going to be able to see what happens when, a catastrophic, horrific event happening. I don't want to say any words because I don't want to get you banned, but we're open to these now, and the media can't suppress that. And so as social media advances and everything, I again, I'm with you. I think I'm dangerously optimistic on it.
You want to know what I'm dangerously not optimistic on? And for a while, like I was talking about this before I started hearing bigger people than I talking about it. But when I first kind of heard the idea of CBDCs, which are, for people who don't know,
central bank digital currencies, as he chokes.
Yeah. So essentially the thing I'm scared of is like the government rolling out their own crypto saying, okay, you got to do XYZ because we're going to give you $2,000 worth of this coin because you guys need our help. People are like, oh, thank you. And like, yes, of course I'll sign this stuff. And then we get a Black Mirror situation, which if you guys haven't seen the new season, there's some pretty raunchy, there's some pretty crazy stuff in there. One of them, she accidentally signs the terms and agreements, and now they have full access to like literally follow her around and film her and like turn into a show. And bro, that last Black Mirror season was so close to where we're at now. It was actually crazy for a lot of people. But what are your thoughts on the CBDCs? Do you think we get that far? Do you think they can burn? Can they ban us trading crypto for real? Can that actually happen? Will the crypto trading world fall apart? Like, what's the alpha, bro? Like, what do you think on all that?
So I got two crazy angles you can kind of think about on this. The CBDC one, I was never scared of. It was always coming. And actually, I've worked with the Florida Blockchain Association, which have passed the bills that are really setting precedent on banning CBDCs in states. So they're banning them out of Texas, North Carolina, Florida. And so what needs to happen now, which is what there's a lot of great people out here doing this right now. One's one of our old co-hosts, Samuel Arms. He's the founder of the association. He's always going and lobbying for and pushing for these policies. Mm-hmm. We have to, it's so ironic because crypto is about breaking away from the system, getting away from the government. And I think people that are focused on that, it's a good place of heart, right? But the reality is if we want to beat this game, we have to play the same game. That means you have to lobby the same game. You have to get in with these officials and really start molding that narrative. And so I think from what I'm starting to see now with the fighting back and other nations open up better regulations, we are going to see parameters set on the government that won't allow them to necessarily control that much. Now, what they can do and they will do is put things like unemployment, any of your social credit stuff. That's all going to be through that. But I do think there is going to be a separate avenue where, you can still get around the system. Now, in terms of control, though, because I don't know if you've gone down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin and centralization, but something I talk about all the time, which people don't agree with, and you may not, and it's completely okay. I don't believe Bitcoin is decentralized in the way that people believe it to be. I believe decentralization has been taken over as a massive marketing scheme, similar to ESG and this economic social governance that exists at big asset management companies. Why is that? Well, just like this, the central bank digital currency will be controlled by the government. The infrastructure to all of our internet, to all of the semiconductors, to the miners, the investment managers that own the miners, the people that are mining and securing the network that control the very centralized mempool. It's like 5 different companies.
Yeah.
That is all controlled by a handful of people, and you can usually associate it down to BlackRock themselves.
Right.
So I'm not saying like Bitcoin in itself is a bad system. I think it's going to exist for a long time. But now we have a government and a state. And this is where this gets effed up. Okay. The advisors for Biden, they all come from BlackRock. BlackRock lobbies all the positions. BlackRock's pretty much the Harvard of politicians. And I don't need to go down this. There's I have sources and statistics all based behind this. But they are also one of the leading lobbyers. Who are the leading lobbyers? You got Walt Disney, Shell, Boeing Airlines with the largest government contracts in the world. And then, of course, BlackRock themselves as well, which they own the other 3 organizations. And so you have a company, an asset management company that, has power over the entire infrastructure of crypto itself. They lobby for all the bills and policies that are in Congress and our Senate. And they, have advisors directly working for the government that they are lobbying for. So there's a lot of conflict of interest in that reality. And so am I scared about a CBDC? No. Am I scared that enough people aren't standing up to set precedent and start really drive parameters around what that government and these companies can control? Yes. And that is what I speak about the most.
Dude, I would actually not disagree with you there at all. I think as we've learned more about who's running up these prices of Bitcoin, obviously, well, so I live in the city, so there's just like chaos going on literally right outside my apartment. Dude, there was a man screaming and hollering for 10 minutes straight right before you got into the stream, and I was like, bro, I'm about to fight this guy because like, what is he doing? He's just standing screaming straight up in the alleyway next to me. But I was going to say,
Oh my God.
with the Bitcoin thing. So yeah, we've seen basically, we're like, okay, like this person just bought in this much money of Bitcoin, and then we're like, oh wait, like we didn't know some of these institutions and banks and these huge conglomerates are actually owning huge amounts of Bitcoin, like absurd amounts of Bitcoin. So the point where, like, when I started learning trading, which is something I want to talk about, because I know you're running a trading group and you guys are crushing it in there, but the idea that like institutions are really moving these markets, not retail, not like, you with $75 in your Robinhood account, like that's not what's moving the markets. These institutions who are like, all right, bro, we're gonna buy up here, so we need to like make that happen right now. And so the idea of Bitcoin being owned, basically, where do we even go, bro? Because it's like to get crypto to a point where we need it, we have to play the game. But then by the time we, say we go all the way down that road and we win the game, then we're just the exact same thing. It's just on the blockchain and we're just being laughed at transparently. Like, is that the difference? Like, where do you think the line is? What do you think crypto's even turned into? What do you want it to be?
Great question. So we can kind of start with this. First, I'm gonna have to say I'm a capitalist at heart. Okay, if you read through The Changing World Order, is actually Ray Dalio, and just the history of capitalism from the Dutch through the Spaniards through the British Empire to where we're at today. Capitalism wasn't necessarily ever the problem. It's predatorial capitalism and the fact that we're seeing more of a fascist style group take over since we came off the Bretton Woods system and the gold standard back in the 1970s. I know it's a little bit of history for no reason, but it's going to explain this. So, when crypto was created, supposedly to Satoshi Nakamoto, I've gone through, read all of his emails and his threads through the cypherpunks. And if you haven't, I really recommend you do so. It gives you a really new perspective on the crypto scene. The whole ideology behind it was very libertarian. And it was supposed to be this breakaway, this control. You own your money and you can spend your money how you want. It wasn't even a store of value. It was meant to be a digital currency that you could control and you can buy and sell and trade whatever you please, 367, with no bank or entity controlling that, right? And so where we're at today in the crypto scene, where would I like it to head? Is it's not necessarily that it needs a change from where it's at today. I think a society as a whole needs to understand what true capitalism actually is. There's a big difference, and someone that I'm actually hopefully going to be interviewing gives a great analogy. His name's Tariq Fancy. He's a whistleblower from BlackRock. He used to be their ex-CIO, and he's super against ESG. And I reached out to him, trying to get in contact with him right now. But he said something that really stood out. There's a big difference between tobacco capitalism and Elon Musk capitalism with Tesla. Tobacco capitalism is, okay, let's say we have $100, right? They have $100 in profit. And the government is starting to realize, oh, hey, this is killing millions of people. Tobacco causes cancer. We're not going to, we got to put tax on cigarettes. We need to make it harder to obtain. We need to, make sure kids are not smoking, because everybody and their mother used to smoke back in the 50s and 60s. And so if you have that $100, you have two options: either close down the company, right, or find a new avenue, go focus on new products, or you take $15 of that $100 and you lobby the government, and you take $15 of that $100 and you create a PR campaign that says, you know what, smoking's not that bad for you, right? And this is exactly what the tobacco companies did. Now, it's been a whole 100-year process.
Yeah.
That's bad capitalism, because it doesn't fix the initial problem, right, whatsoever. They're now lobbying the government to get in bills and policies that are going to agree with their company to continue what they're doing. And they're going to lie to the public about the PR campaigning around, cancer and cigarettes. And that is what capitalism, in my opinion, is today. All these companies, these asset management companies, these ESG standards, carbon credits, which we can get into if you want to get into that. That is another huge scam for the ultra rich. These are all things that they're claiming to be good for the world, but really it's only benefiting themselves. And it's no different than an organic orange and a regular orange at, the farmer's market. Yeah. They're slapping a sticker on it. Now, Elon Musk capitalism is going to be innovation. It's going to be, he's trying to blow up things through, space and launching rockets and doing things that the government can't do or couldn't do at a fraction of a penny. And, he's changing the world as we speak. I'm not a huge, I'm not going to be an Elon Musk fanboy here, but I'm just using him as an example. Tesla was a huge breakthrough with EV cars, right? And so there's a lot of these things that you got to, that's good, right? That's real PR. That's, real community. That's real development. It's real innovation. And we know if it fails, it fails, but we're trying to drive for something bigger. We're not taking something that already exists that's awful and just paying off government officials to continue producing what we're doing. That's what happens to a lot of big oil companies. And so for crypto, where I'm tying this into is I want crypto to keep moving forward. I want crypto in general, the whole decentralized aspect. I want that as distributed ledger technology to keep advancing. Blockchain may not be the answer. It could be hash graphs. It could be a new tech that quantum creates and AI generates that's much stronger and more secure than blockchain in 5 years from now. But I know this industry is where we need to head. That's going to allow us to make sure that that bad capitalism that exists today is prevented from exceeding. And I'm going to leave off on that mark and see if there's any questions. I open up to that.
Damn, dude. Honestly, no, not really.
Okay.
Because I guess I look at it like I look at crypto Web3 land as just like an industry like any other. Like especially as a content creator, when I talk to people about who are trying to be content creators in Web3, I look at the Web3 industry just like the fitness industry. I'm like, there are content creators. The only difference, like the only thing that actually, this would be a good question for you that I struggle with sometimes is like, what are the participants doing? Like in fitness, everyone's working out, and then the content creators film them working out. And like the closest thing, because the thing is like the participants are doing it and the influencers are doing it. That's why it works, because they can take what they're doing. Not everyone in Web3 is a trader. So it's like, unless you're a trader, then, or you run like a live show like the Nifty or something like that, then it's like, what are the things that, other than maybe dollar costing your way into the market sometimes, but you know, if we're gonna be honest, like a lot of people are just kind of watching just to watch. But I always ask myself, like, what is the industry? Like, what is the thing? Like, what's the stuff that's keeping us together besides just making money? Because that's like kind of the most toxic part about Web3 that all the people are complaining about. They're like, oh, it can't be about this because money and it's not sustainable, which is all true. But where does that leave us, you know?
Well, sadly, everything in the world is going to be about money. Can't exist without money, or else it's just a hobby. And you know, this is our passion. This is our brand. This is what we build. We're passionate about building cool technology. I don't think it's really too much different than tech. You know, so it's a good question. You know, as a community where everybody kind of stand. So you want to ask the question one more time?
It's a hard question to even formulate, but it's something along the lines of like, what is the thing that we do that's in common? Like the content creators, the influencer people, and then there's like such a line of separation versus in the fitness industry, people who can work out, who can also film really shitty content on their phone. Tons of people do that. So many people do it in the fitness industry, but like, there's not a thing that people in Web3 like all do. Just like everyone in fitness, always they either work out or they run and they do some version of working out. Like the closest thing I could think of would be like they dollar cost their way into certain coins or buy into certain NFTs, but that's not like a thing that's like strong enough to like, I'm not sure. Like sometimes I think,
are you asking for like, because I think there's two routes I can go with this question. Like, what's the actual separation between, you know, influencers, or is this more towards, you know, as a content creator in the space, you know, what can I do that if I'm not a day trader, how can I drive that engagement and bring people in? Okay.
Because trading's a whole thing on its own, which we'll talk about. Trading's completely separate. It's like a whole entire skill that you got to learn.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know, even though I've just learned over the last 3 years, but it's not even my main focus. My main focus is going to be education. You know, that's just kind of it's been a bonus, you know. But yeah, so as a Web3 creator, I think we need to stop niching ourselves down. So if you're somebody that is struggling with, you know, driving that engagement and driving that viewership, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You don't have to do the videos that are going to go viral in itself are the ones that are like, these are the top 5 coins that are going to do a 1000x in the next bull run. And you're like, man, take a fist up the butthole, dude. Like, that's not going to happen. You know, I understand where you're coming from. So this goes back to storytelling. And I would argue that crypto and Web3 in general has some of the best stories that exist today. I can ask you right now, this is a new series I want to jump on, but I'm more than welcome to take this off my brain because I don't even know if I'll do it. But when's the last time you saw the story of Satoshi Nakamoto and the cypherpunks and everything that happened with, you know, the Silk Road and just all of the I don't even know, the arrests and everything that happened 10 years ago? When's the last time you saw that?
Last time I saw that, honestly, was maybe like 4 months ago just like quickly though. I just like scrolled past something that someone mentioned about it, but I didn't even dive into it or anything.
So I haven't even seen that, but diving into like trying to figure out who Satoshi is, that's a great series, right? You know, talking about David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse and all these people that lived on the same block. There is so many conspiracies that go into the old cypherpunk content. It is insane. And it's a great story that should in itself have a movie. There's so many millionaires that go missing, right? Who are these millionaires? Why are they going missing? Who do they have bad actors on? Now, I'm not saying you have to go do all this sleuthing and stuff, but so you gotta have that perspective on this. So as a content creator, so in fitness, it's you're working out the same muscles. Everybody, someone might be a little bit bigger. He's bulking. He's they're cutting weight, whatever it is. It's kind of the same thing in crypto, though. You're all talking about the same category, but there's a lot of different ways you can kind of perceive that. And so it could be about new technology. You could be testing new products. I don't know any creator that tests blockchain products. There's a ton of blockchain products. There's whether it's cameras and whatnot. And so it's like, you got to just kind of think outside of that box and realize you don't have to do the top 3 cryptos or the top 50 cryptos or this crypto is going to 1000x or be ISO or jump on the XRP maximalism train. Like, you can really find who you are. And I think there's a lot of good stories out there that need to be told.
Fire. Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. So you also run, so I know you just briefly mentioned it, but with the trading, also, do you have a hard stop at 60 minutes?
I have an hour and a half locked out.
Okay, perfect. I was going to say with your trading, and then you guys, I believe it's a Discord group, right? That you guys run it with?
Yeah. So we have the Kryptonite Discord, which isn't a trading group. I do trading in there, but there's 3 content creators in there now. There's me, Patrick, and another guy named Aaron from the IC community. And we do a lot of education, classrooms, and then I do trading calls and stuff as well. And I do like whole breakdowns. I teach something called I trade based off liquidations and market manipulation, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I think mine's very similar. It's just institutional trading, smart money, looking at the candles, things like that. Dude, do you have any tips on? I mean, I feel like I've already heard all the tips for a trade, but I don't know if you have anything extra other than like the classic, just fucking trade and learn stuff and watch videos and be around traders and talk to people about trading.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, I'm going to answer the one question everybody's dying to know is, when should you buy crypto?
Exactly.
And I think this is going to be the case closed for it, but you should only buy crypto when you can afford to buy crypto. That's simple. Just like, when do you buy a house? When you can afford to buy a house. It's not really about timing the market. It's always about time in the market. And so same thing goes into trading. When should you enter a position? Now, you're going to be getting day trading, and it really depends on what you're doing. But if you're just someone that's looking to long-term hold, dollar cost average, buy when you can afford it. If you can't afford it and you have $100 and you're like, or, let's say you have $500, then you're kind of risking, maybe your car payment that month, or, eating out with your girlfriend, or, having a good time. Take that money, and instead of investing into something that's going to have no return, that could or could not, it may or may not, and you just can't afford for it to drop 50% in value, invest in yourself. And there's a million different ways you can do this. It's either by buying books and just starting to learn about investing or learn about creating side businesses, or it's going to be, starting, buying and flipping couch. My brother-in-law does that every single month and makes about just as much as income by flipping 2 couches a month. It's crazy. Wow. So, that's where I would start. But for tips and tricks on trading, I mean, they're going to be the same basic ones. Generally, you're going to want to do what's the opposite of everybody else doing. So if everybody's bullish, you're going to want to be bearish. And that's just, sounds basic, but it's pretty simple. For me, I track liquidation models. So I use something called high block, and I can see when there's 1,000 short positions open on 100x, and I can see when there's only 5 positions open on longs. And so what that means is I could be like, okay, it's 9.9 out of 10 odds that, 99% odds that Binance is going to market make and add some liquidity to the exchange to wipe out those shorts. Yeah. Right. There's a lot of trading mechanisms to do that. But trading's like working out, dude. There's a million ways you can do it. And, at the end of the day, everybody has their own pattern, their own systems. And most importantly, what you need to do is just be consistent and stick to the same pattern. Don't change your workout method. Don't change your trading style, because as markets change, sometimes it won't act as much, but you got to stay true to yourself.
That's a great analogy of the fitness industry, because I think I came into trading. I've got a few years of experience being in crypto land, being an NFT. I'm so glad I have NFT experience, bro, because I feel like a fucking veteran in anything to do with anything remotely close to anything online. Like, I am a veteran in all of it because of the NFT land. But learning trading, I definitely came in with a leg up because I have all that experience with crypto, and I've watched, endless hours of Benjamin Cohen doing TA on Bitcoin and stuff like that. So I've watched all these videos. So I have like some level of a broad base, but the trading part, you actually have to go in and do the curls. Like you actually have to go do 7,000 curls to build up big biceps. It's the only way. There's no actual other way to get that. And the same with the trading, to actually be able to, pull a trade and actually get out and profit is completely different than you being like, oh yeah, man, like that definitely broke structure, and
yeah,
for sure we're getting in here. The easy, I'm not gonna make the trade though. Yeah, it's like that,
yeah,
you didn't do the curl, you just held the dumbbells in your hands.
Everybody listening that wants a day trade, you need to understand you're gonna put in. It's like it's gonna be working out in college. Why? Because you have to pay a massive tuition to understand and learn. You're gonna lose money, even if you paper trade before you do it. As soon as you start trading with real money, your emotions kick in, and it's a whole other beast. So, yeah, man, I think if you want to learn day trading, just get ready to dedicate about 6 months to a year of your life to see results.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I've decided to do. And I trade anytime I have a trade that I'm not like pretty confident in. If it's a trade that someone brought to me, and feel like, yo, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I can see that. I always throw that in the demo account. And anything to do with like the real one, I'll throw into the actual trading account. But it's like one hack I think for early beginners. Just like if you don't have a trade that you're fully convicted on, you just throw that in the demo. Like there's no like finish line with trading. You just keep trading. That's like the benefits. Like the cool part is like it's a skill. Like if you actually master it and you make it an income source because maybe you get a funded account or something like that, bro, that's like literal freedom. So like that part of it excites me. It's also something I can make content on. Do you make any trading content? Are you trying to make any trading specific content?
No, I'm thinking about it because with my Discord, I just did a $100 to $10,000 challenge, which is what we were doing the last 6 months. And so now we're doing 10K to 100K. We finished it off. And the first trade call did not go well. We got stopped out. But we use stop losses. So the reason I don't do trading content is because I know people are going to follow those positions. Yeah. And trading is a system. I have PDP is what I call mine. It's patience, discipline, and probability. And so I'm not entering a trade every single day. Yeah. I'm usually waiting for 9 out of 10 indicators to line up, the liquidations to line up before I enter that position. And so the problem with doing trading content is if people don't understand trading is law of averages, it doesn't exist where there's a trader that's 100% accurate. Most traders are 65% accurate. You're a beast if you're 80% accurate. And, we'll have good weeks, but some weeks are 65, some weeks are 80, right? And so, if people don't understand that and you're making trading content, they might only pick and choose trades. True. And the law of averages don't adjust, right? So they might just end up losing all their money. And so that's that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's all it is.
Yeah, I will say there are some things I did not expect to learn about trading in my first 2 weeks. Like I didn't expect to have my mind change about what I thought trading was when I got it. I thought I knew trading because I've been in crypto. I've been around traders, but like being a trader was different. I was like, oh wait, I'm not making a trade every day. Like, no. Like I was like, but what about this, and this? She's like, yeah, but like, that's not enough to like get into the trade. So we need to wait until this. If we get this, then we have confirmation. Then we have a higher probability to get in. Otherwise, there's no reason to throw the money in when we don't know if it's going to come back to that line. And I was like, yo, I never even considered that thought. It's such a crazy thing. So I think for people who want to get into trading, I'm not going to sit there and tell you should. I think it's cool if you want a new skill. If we're in this kind of market where we're not confirmed bull or confirmed bearish. We're sort of in this. I feel like it's like a never-ending story of like we're still stuck in the pluff mud of like this and then back down and back down. Like, what do you think? Like macro, maybe not macro, maybe like midterm. Where do you think Bitcoin is going to do? Because we had the Bitcoin ETF push through. I heard it was authorized. I also heard that we're about to delist a bunch of coins off Robinhood, and I'm hearing bullish and bearish things coming up. Like, what are you thinking?
So for me, I truly believe the bottom was in back in, when FTX collapsed. The only way we see lower lows than that is if, especially since institutional interest is in now and BlackRock has officially filed that ETF. Yeah. Would be if Binance or Tether collapses. Exactly. And so is that going to happen? One, nobody can predict that. Nobody on this world can predict it. I know. And I'm claiming that now because if it happens, what's that?
What would be worse? Which one would be worse?
Probably Tether, but Binance and Tether are very well intertwined. So just like FTT token was artificially being, pumping up and propping up prices on a lot of tokens on FTX, Tether artificially props up a lot of tokens on Binance. This is why I got blocked from CZ and everything is because I've called this out and I've traded this, and it's nothing against him. He's playing the system, and I respect that, right? There's nothing. This is just how market makers work. Market makers in crypto are a lot different than stock markets, right? You don't have a stock market hedge fund that's acting as a market maker, adding in liquidity to the market, as well as day trading, wash trading, and greenwashing on a daily basis. That's illegal, right? So crypto is this wild horse, and if you're going to play it, you're going to play it. But so I totally went on a tangent there. What was the question?
I asked if it'd be worse for Tether or Binance.
Oh, yeah. So Tether, if you look at, who owns the wallets, it's a lot of Binance wallets. And so it's not like they're all of the supply, but there's probably 10 to 20% of it that there's a lot of kind of collusion on. And so if Tether were to go under, it would wash out Binance as well at the same time. Where Binance went under, Tether and Bitfinex would probably be okay. And so I don't think that would be as detrimental. Now, because what you'd have to ask yourself, this is a big question because there's a million ways this could play out. Because it also assumes that Binance, the 70% of liquidity, Binance is 70 to 80% of the liquidity in the entire market. They're all of the volume. So if that were to just vanish in one day, that would crash Bitcoin to I don't even know, man. I don't want to picture that. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No?
I don't think Binance is going to. My prediction since June 21st was BlackRock ETF, Binance.us gets pushed out of the United States. Now, what I did not see coming was Coinbase getting tackled.
That was crazy.
I thought Coinbase and Circle were going to kind of hold hands with the government, but we don't know how that's going to play out yet.
Yeah.
Because this is another thing. Like BlackRock manages all of USDC's reserves. Okay, so it's just. There's too much writing on the wall for me to be like, okay, they're not going to come in and control this. And then now that they're launching a Bitcoin spot ETF, and here's an awesome statistic: out of the last 576 ETFs they've passed, 500 or that they've sent to the SEC, 575 have been approved. They've been denied once by the SEC in the last decade. That was in 2014, and it was for clear reasons. So the fact that I've watched them and looked at all the filings, and they bought the infrastructure from the miners. They bought the infrastructure from the, do you know who Jack Mallers is with Strike Network?
No.
Lightning Network. He was the one that made, okay. So their system's going to be going into a bunch point of sale system. So your self-checkout kiosks, your gas station kiosks, into about 1 million storefronts through NCR and Blackhawk. Those are owned by BlackRock. Okay. They manage the USDC reserves. And so what I look at it is like, okay, if this is a video game, they have the, if this is Marvel, they have all the Infinity Stones. So what's the switch off from here? And so that's, I don't see where that works. Now, what people don't know and why you don't have FOMO is I believe the bottom's in. And I think now any big dip, I am dollar cost averaging, but that's because Bitcoin spot ETF, any of these ETFs in general, they may not go through until February of 2024. The SEC can keep, postponing the approval every 90 days or whatever it is. So it's a 90 days, or I forgot the days. It's a weird metric. But so theoretically, it can get pushed all the way till about the next Bitcoin halving. Yeah. And so now you have the best marketing because Bitcoin's halving, which has sparked a lot of retailer attention. Every retailer thinks that's why bull runs start, which I don't believe is true. A BlackRock spot ETF is going to launch. And man, we just watched them probably manipulate the biggest market since the precious, metal market in the 1990s.
It was some unbelievable shit. I think one thing that keeps me delusionally optimistic is even though, I remember when FTX collapsed and we had just worse news after worse news. It was just thing collapsing after bank, a bank collapsed and this thing collapsed. And I was like, damn, dude, this is all so crazy. But can't believe I'm out here, we're out here living through this shit right now. I'm this is actually kind of crazy. It's part of me, I think this delusional optimist is excited just in general to be part of it. Cause I think it's also part of the game. We saw the rise of the red pill movement on social media, which just absolutely blew up because the pendulum was on the other side for so long. And we're seeing humanity try and figure itself out by conversing angrily at each other on social media right now. And it's wild because that's technically in my head, I'm that's sort of an accumulation or something in a chart, or it's some level of us trying to understand each other and understand ourselves and stuff,
Yeah, it's it's just we can go a million different ways with that way, or with that conversation. Social media is a big issue, just because of the I mean, you've seen Meta, you've seen Twitter with the Twitter files and the manipulation of propaganda that's pushed through it. So a lot of the things that the regular population fights over, whether it's racism or gender, identification, or even gun laws, and any argument that you see is massively politically divided, is fueled. And I think all the racism is, in my opinion, the dumbest conversation in the world. Racism just shouldn't exist. It's made an issue by political figures. I'm like, in the Web3 space, I work with every culture, every person out there, and I know there's things that we need to fix on, but a lot of the things I forgot what's happening in California. They're trying to pass where every black resident from 1975 gets
I saw that. It's
1 point reparations,
yeah.
$1.2 million. And I'm like, that is just, of course it's going to add fuel to the fire. That's going to divide people further. Why would you approach it in that way? Why wouldn't you go after a social program or actually do good for the communities and drive that value there? Build up businesses, bring up poverty. And it's, in my opinion, it's just all political. It's all political jargon.
And I think I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. You're like, the way they're approaching everything is set to divide, not to help.
Exactly.
Okay, I see. I definitely see your angle there. Oh, I see Patrick just made it in here. Let's fucking go. He says, glad to catch this live even if I'm late. Bro, the time is now. The only time is now, bro. You're not guaranteed anything. There was a question. Oh yeah, someone had asked a question on TikTok earlier. How much time? This is a random. By the way, this is a random ass question, but I'll ask it because I'm gonna forget. Do you spend any time reading? Reading? Not for research, but reading.
Yeah, I like to spend an hour a day, but I'd be lying if that happens every day. But generally, every day I get about 30 minutes in with my coffee I make every morning.
Right on, bro.
Espresso machine coffee. I can grab some favorite books at the end if you want book recommendations. I need to read more because I was at a point where I was getting through about a book a month. I want to get to 2 books a month because I got a lot of recommendations of books that are coming and I have to read right now. But I don't listen to. This is where a lot of people kind of disagree. I don't listen to a lot of music. I listen to a lot of Audible.
Really?
I listen to a lot of books, man. When I get on a plane flight, I listen to a book.
Podcast or no?
No, it's straight. Always books on Amazon. I probably have a list of 50 now.
Damn.
And the reason is just, this is another, if you want to be a content creator, read. Don't listen to music. I mean, listen to music too. I'm not saying don't listen to music, but if you can read it, when you're, I don't know if you've ever ran into content glut, which is where you just run in, or writers, I forget what's called, writer shock or whatever, where you just can't come up with any creative outlook anymore. Reading has many different times been when I've been in a place of I haven't produced content for 3 days and I'm just stuck and demotivated. It's because of reading that usually some passage or something really, really woke me up.
Okay, I bet. Well, shout out Homer for asking that question. Yeah, that's a great question. Curve the Dream with that follow-up, he said, do you got any recommendations then? What book? He says, do you have an opinion on a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island?
The Creature from Jekyll Island. He's talking about, I haven't read it yet. I've seen a lot of podcasts on it, though. That is going to be a book, I believe, about the Federal Reserve and who actually owns it and controls it, and it's that whole history and narrative. So I need to read it because I have it it's actually on my list of recommendations. I haven't gotten to it yet, though. Let me know if you like it, though, because that's a huge topic.
Bro, we need that Joshua Jake TikTok on the Federal Reserve and who owns that. That would for sure go viral, bro.
I've been trying to actually create one.
Have you?
Dude, I don't know how you make a video not less than 10 minutes on that. It's
that's a good point. Maybe do a series.
I need to. I got a few series dropping right now. I got the Walton's family. I got the Kosh family. I got Al Saad's. I got a lot coming up. I got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I did want to give one book recommendation though. Okay. This is this should be everybody's textbook. If you haven't read this, I got to read this again. It's been a couple years now. But this was one of the first books I read about economics that really let me understand the space. It's called Basic Economics. It's actually backwards because my camera's backwards. But it's Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. And
how do you spell that last name?
Thomas Sowell, Sowell. And I'm going to do this for you right here. We're going to go boom. So you guys can take a screenshot of it.
Nice.
There you
go, guys. Catch it.
This thing updates constantly. This will take you forever to get through. But if you actually want to learn about economics, that one book will let you be able to just literally call BS on every creator that tries to claim they know everything. but I got about 1 billion recommendations. So just let me know. That one's a dry run though. So like you'll fall asleep. Just try to get through 30 minutes a day.
Crypto Dream says he went through the other book that we were talking about, the Creature from Jekyll Island. He said he went through it. It seems pretty wild, but he says he needs to fact check. He needs to find a way to fact check everything because he's not 100% that everything in there is like factual, you know?
Yeah, and everybody should read just like that. You should go into every book very cautiously. I don't know if you've seen people always talk about the changing world order and Ray Dalio. There's economists. Yeah, so there's economists out there, guys. You got to read the opposition. You got to read the argument against it. So I'd recommend my biggest counter to Ray Dalio would be Peter Zeihan with the end of the beginning is the end of the world is just the beginning. And he talks about demographics and why BRICS in the changing world order is not going to be from that perspective. So great job to you doing that in the chat because you need a fact for it. Just because something's in a book doesn't mean it's real.
Yeah,
right.
100%. Yeah, shout out Crypto Dream for that. Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Do you have, what would be your most like contrarian fucking hot take that invites fucking TikTok haters in your comments? Like, do you have one that just always gets people pissed off like every time that you're like, man, I need a good little engagement farm real quick?
That's a good question. There's quite a few. I mean, the one that will piss people off is XRP not going to $10,000.
Bro,
but I'm bullish on Ripple.
Hold on. I need you to explain the XRP. I've asked everyone who's associated with XRP. I've yet to get the right answer or not the right answer. An answer that I'm like somewhat satisfied. I'm like, what is it about the XRP army? Why XRP and why is it just XRP and Cardano that I hear about like on altcoins that people talk about altcoins as like a thing? You know, it's just Cardano and XRP, but XRP is miles ahead. It's like the one that everyone loves.
I would argue just leadership. Charles Hoskinson is a beauty at creating community. I don't know if you ever listened to him speak, but it's like listening to Steve Jobs speak, right? Same thing with Brad Garlinghouse. And so they've built really strong communities, and I don't blame the communities on them necessarily. Do they instigate it sometimes? Maybe by a few tweets. But for the XRPL, it's a very interesting. It's I don't even know where to start. It's a very complex conversation because the XRPL is mid. The technology is mid. There's a lot of technology out there in crypto that is better, and I'm not bashing on the XRPL because it's just like any decent product out there. There's a lot of
gonna come after you, bro.
I think he would honestly agree with me. The XRPL is not the most powerful. It's not the fastest. It's not the, not definitely not the most decentralized. It's not the most scalable. It's not the cleanest. There's a lot of things about it, right? And so we're at a point where I don't think blockchain matters in terms of which one has the best transactions per second is going to make it the ultimate end game player. Ethereum is a perfect example, right? It's one of the slowest networks, had the most issues, needs scalability, and it's the biggest. Why is that? It's because of the community. So there's amazing people building on the XRPL. However, the XRPL isn't being built on by these massive corporations that are going to scale things like Ethereum or, even look at Solana. It got pretty big because of who was using the network. XRP, in my opinion, is going to only be successful because of Ripple. Now, they try to distinguish that and separate that a lot because of the lawsuit, right? Because they're like, oh, XRP is not us. We didn't create it. It was created by the founders of it. So Ripple as a company, though, Brad Garlinghouse, Chris Larson, David Schwartz, they've killed it. They had a new partnership on a daily basis almost. They're part of the registration management group. They're part of the World Economic Forum. They're working with SBI, Japan, Tranglo. The business connections and that marketing, Ripple succeeds. That's my perspective on that. So as long as Ripple's going to exceed, they have half the supply. Of course, they're going to bring benefits to the XRPL. The difference is and this is where the disconnect is the community, for whatever reason, this is why I really recommend people read. I don't know if they don't understand capitalism or human greed, but they expect the entire world to just drop their technology, get on their knees, and adopt the XRPL.
That's what I hear.
Cross-border payment revenue.
That's what I hear everywhere.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Flip the switch. I don't know. I've had this conversation with people. There's very few people. Dark Horse is someone that's great on TikTok that is always bashing on it and talking about it because the holders are the liquidity. You are the exit liquidity.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
are what is the network. And, so they try to argue against that. They use these weird factors on how XRP is going to open up all the Nostros accounts, and it's going to open up $1 quadrillion in volume, and everything that's digitalized is going to be put on chain onto the XRPL. But the reality is, the Bank of England, the United States, Bank of Japan, maybe they are going to use some bridge networks because they're always partnered with them. But all these other networks and governments are building their own tools, their own payment systems.
Yeah.
So I think Ripple has a seat at the table, just like Wells Fargo has a seat at the table with JP Morgan and Charles Schwab and all those big banks. And for that reason, I'm like, yeah, XRP can maybe go back to all-time highs if they win the lawsuit. Is it going to replace all the money? No, that's a maximalist wet dream. And I think that honestly where we should leave this off with is I think maximalism and tribalism needs to end in crypto, or else it's going to ruin crypto.
Jeez, we need a fucking mic drop for that, guys. We need a fucking mic drop for that. Bro, I got like 2 or 3 fire off questions, and then I think we wrap this thing up. I think we fucking crushed it today. Wait, where'd it go? There we go. Yo, what is your favorite crypto?
Oh, they always do this one to me. I just want
to know. I mean, not even a bag thing. Just okay, like what do you like?
I'm not going to say Bitcoin because one, I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but just because I know so much about Bitcoin and the network and what's behind it, the infrastructure, like I'm passionate on it because I'm like, okay, this is going to be here in 10 years.
Yeah.
Can't say that about Ethereum. The one I'm probably most passionate about right now is going to be VitaDAO. But don't go jump into this. Okay. The reason why I like VitaDAO is I'm super into decentralized science. I think longevity and genomics and that research, that is the one thing every billionaire in the world can agree on is they want to live longer.
They do.
This is a huge thing happening in the Middle East, the UAE, where Saudi Arabia, they're looking for there's billions being funded to this. Coinbase's CEO Brian Armstrong just raised $40 million to invest into longevity. So longevity is huge. VitaDAO is the only one tackling that. The other company that's launching a DeSci longevity that's going to be kind of in that realm is Vector Space again, but their original token took a massive hit. So, but I'm really passionate about DeSci and longevity.
Any other are there stocks that also are in that industry that you're looking at? Like, is it just crypto that you're looking at for that reason? Like as far as industries, where you're like, yo, that's definitely going to do big things in a few years.
Great question. Stocks, I am just ETF funds. I also own Intel, NVIDIA, and semiconductors because I have, I believe we're going to be the top producer for semiconductors in the next 5 to 6 years. But other than that, I'm strict ETF funds or S&P 500. You can do the VU, the VIM. Those are going to be 2 of my probably largest, but
facts. You got a favorite NFT? Is the IF?
It used to be Invisible Friends. This was my best flip. Oh,
so
it was. So I got to made a nice bag off that.
Hell yeah.
Pudgy Penguins was the follow up to that. That was also huge. But I don't have a favorite NFT right now. I wish I did. It just so much has happened in the NFT culture over the last 6 months alone.
Yep.
I've kind of lost touch with NFT, with just NFTs in general.
The drama.
It is just too much. Yeah, there was so much drama. I just stepped back.
So am I. Dude, I'm sticking like a lot more with the business side.
Yeah, that's so when it comes back, sure, probably. But I used to be super into like Freelanders and that whole community, and a lot of these communities. Did you just realize that I don't know. These are all communities being ran by people that have never ran a business. And so when you realize that in the NFT space, 99, all of them, sadly, real art's starting to take off, which I love to see. And real NFT art is like starting to pop off. I'm like, okay.
Dude, the World of Women collaboration with Barcelona just happened the other, it was open up 4 days ago. It just sold for 162 ETH.
Crazy.
Bro. Crazy. And World of Women's like floor is at 0.75. And I'm like, bro, fuck all of you talking about all these things that you want Web3 to be. And then a project does something actually cool and no one gives a single fuck. All they care about is Suzuki's new art for their new secondary class. I'm like, oh
my God.
Fuck like all of you.
Dude, prime example, man. Azuki ran, created by serial rug pullers. And somehow they just raised $40 million more. Bro.
They probably spent $5 million throwing that event.
Oh yeah, exactly. I'm like,
it's probably cool though. It looks very cool, but yeah, that one's tough, dude. The PFP game, there really is. That's a losing game, except for the 5 that are gonna make it. And I know that there will be a push. Like once the market comes back, there's always pushes and degenerate parts of markets. But like the glue that held it for me for a lot of this project is gone. Like there's projects that I held for 9, 12 months that I got out of in the last 2 months because I'm like, bro, why am I holding this? I don't care. I don't care about the founders. Like they haven't done anything in 6 months. I haven't talked to them. I haven't seen them anywhere. Like what are we doing here?
Yeah, 100%. And it's Yeah, so I just kind of stuck away, and now
Yeah.
I'm just deep crypto now, and I'm helping good projects come to market.
I feel you. I feel you. All right. Last two questions. How? Yeah, it's like a double question. Like, have you had a bottom personally, and how has that made you grown? How's that made you grow as a man? And has it been recent? Was that a super long time ago?
Great question. I'd say my bottom. I mean, I've always had, the one thing you want is find someone that supports you. So I've had my now fiance. She's been with me for the last 5 years, but there was a moment back in COVID when, I was out on my own, had my own job. I was doing timeshares and, had my own, my own house and everything. And because of COVID, obviously everything went to zero, and they fired me from the job because no one was traveling, couldn't travel. And so from there, I had to move back from San Diego up to and back to where I originally am from, back to that farm town for a little bit of time, and it was humiliating. And it's not that I don't like I love my parents, I love my family, I love it. Just when the emotion of leaving, getting out, and then losing, and you're forced to come back, and there's no other option. That is a moment of like, okay, I need to figure out what the hell I'm going to do, because I do not want to stay here. I need to go make it, right? And so obviously you can't really blame it. I know COVID was a weird one for everybody, and I really respect anybody out there if you're still struggling from it. I understand. I completely understand. That was a huge setback, especially if you're in anything sales, or hospitality. But I think it was because of that if it wasn't for COVID, I would never have started gaming. I would never have started drone production. And so I started doing so many side businesses, trying to figure out what would work. And that is what led to my success today. And I'm still just getting started, right? I'm about to hit 500,000 followers on TikTok, and these
Let's
are huge milestones.
dude.
Let's go, right? These
Let's
are huge
go.
milestones that I would never have thought of in a year, 2 years ago, because I was, you're grinding every day. And so it's because of those moments. That would be, but I still wouldn't compare it to somebody else. I'm not going to make the sob story that I've had that rock bottom, because I've always been surrounded by people that support me and make sure that, they will help me and, give me a second opportunity, to come back. And that would be the advice I give out of that. If you don't have a good friend group or a good, you need a good support group, no matter in what you do.
Dude, I stayed independent for a long time. For 2 years straight, I didn't take any help. I didn't want any collaborations. I didn't want really anything like that. And then very, very recently, I saw Easy Eats Bodega, who's a prominent Web3 content creator. He's big on spaces and stuff. Huge trader. He's a full NFT DJ, purely NFTs, pretty much. But he finally dropped his project called Bodogos, and he does in collaboration with the Nifty Portal, who runs the NFT morning show with thousands of people who watch every day. They're one of the biggest brands in there. And he made some posts about, he was like, look, you can get, it was something like, you can get far alone. I knew I was going to fuck it up, dude. You can get far alone. You can get something better with a team or something along those lines. And I remember thinking, damn, bro, because very recently I started learning how to trade, and I started learning it inside of a community with other people. And man, dude, I just didn't know what I was missing. I was like, no, I'm gonna do it all on my own. It's better on my own. It's better on my own. And then I did it in a team, and I was like, shit, I actually like this a lot too. Anyways, final question, bro. What's your favorite, or what's a movie that people can watch that might help them change their perspective on stuff? Either a YouTube video, documentary, Netflix documentary, movie, something like that. Some kind of entertainment where they can be like, yo, they think differently about life.
Think differently about movie. Man, I love these questions today, man. They're the ones I haven't thought about.
And this is the final question, by the way. So you don't got to think anymore after that.
Okay. Man, something that motivated me, and this is going to sound very douchey, was The Wolf on Wall Street, man. Jordan Belfort was someone very early on. I've read his book. If you haven't read that, that's great if you're getting into sales. But so that was like a whole different motivational cycle where you kind of learn from his mistakes, but also understand that money out there is more than you can ever conceptualize, and you just have to go obtain it. And so that was kind of like just the party as a young teen, right? Like 18, 19, you're like, dude, this is the shit. I want this life, right? You realize that's not the reality of it. But so that was kind of, and I'm not going to recommend that that's like your go-to to watch. The Big Short is another great movie. And then oddly enough, I'm gonna say this, but this isn't this. I love classical music, and Hans Zimmer is one of the best of all time.
Say it,
And
bro.
the fact that he's in our generation is
Say it.
crazy that we get to live through that. And so Interstellar, this is not going to be anything to, yeah, you know, and I know this is so basic, I feel like, because everybody, like, how can you not like Interstellar?
It's so good.
His music, Hans Zimmer, that entire symphony, I don't know what you'd call it. I forget what you'd call the
I don't know.
whole,
Yeah, something like that sounds right.
the whole album. I don't want to say album because I know that's not what it's called. But that whole series of music I listen to on repeat generally. Like, so when I'm like reading a book, I have classical on in the background. When I'm in the sauna, I have classical on in my headphones.
Interesting.
You know, I've realized that there's just listening to that, like, that's the music I will listen to. You know, I don't know anything about rappers. I don't know anything about hip hop. I love EDM. I go to concerts and raves and stuff. That's
Oh, you
different.
do?
Yeah.
Nice,
That's,
bro.
you know, that's fun. That's fun. You know, I
Hell
got
yeah.
Millennium coming up next week. But
Yo, I went there in Vegas. I saw Lenny in Vegas. Insane.
Insane, man. I love it. But that's also a different. That's not like, it's not rap. You know, you just you know.
So it's so different. It's so good.
So I would say those three, and the third one is, you know, Interstellar is a great movie, but it's the soundtrack that really inspires me. It's Hans Zimmer that really inspires me. So,
dude, hell yeah. I don't think there could be a better way to end the show other than recommending people to watch epic fucking movies. So guys, well, Josh, dude, thank you for coming on. I had a really good time talking to you. We went into topics that I didn't even foresee. I thought I had like planned this. I was like, this is gonna be so similar. Talk about this, and this. And then you said something different. I said, oh, bet we'll go this way actually. So I had a great time.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Anytime, brother. This was awesome. It was a good time.
Hell yeah, man. Guys, if you want to, oh, also, Josh, do you want to shout anyone out before we close us out here?
Yeah. First, we got to shout out, obviously, the PS Crypto that was in the chat. Super proud of the guy. He's been a part of the mentorship program and everything. I've been able to build up his content. And he's a great person to, if you guys haven't checked out his content, he does conspiracies, Web3 entertainment, and everything like that. And that is a great example of someone that's building in the space. Of course, my business partner, Lucas, Blockchain Boy. You've seen him on the show before. Also another awesome person. You know, I'm just excited to see what we're building together. We've got a lot of awesome stuff coming up. You know, of course, shout out to Kate himself. If you guys aren't following and smashing that like button on this, I mean, you're just messing up at this point.
Oh, dude, Patrick just popped in. He popped in right when you said that.
Let's go, baby. Legend, my guy.
Hell yeah.
You know, and those are going to be the three hitters I have right now. What I would just leave on, guys, is if you guys are in Web3, and what I'd recommend, Cade's killing it on this. Cade's absolutely killing on this. You know, networking and just building as big as a network as you possibly can in this space is going to take you so much farther than being alone, like he was talking about just a little bit earlier. And that's so facts. Shout out to those few gents.
Bro, 1,000,000%. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit that retweet button, hit the like button, follow Josh on all accounts. He's on Twitter. I tagged him. If you're on a video stream, he's in the description. You can find all his stuff there. It goes to his beacons. You can find all his socials there. Subscribe to the channel for more content. We got podcasts, we got streams, we got all sorts of stuff coming out. I'm a content machine. It's what I do. It's what Josh does. Find me on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, everywhere I'll pop up. Until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and we're grateful you're live watching this video. Bye.